Hello and welcome to the CASTcast. This is the podcast for the Association for Software Testing, and more specifically for the conference of the Association for Software Testing, or CAST. I'm Michael Larson.
And I'm Claire Moss.
And we are going to do a twofer here. We are live at CAST. We are doing this in real time in a nice little echoey room, all gathered around a microphone. And I'd like to introduce Alexandre Baudin and Cathy Toth. Did I do those right?
You did those right.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
We can be taught.
Yay. Well, so one of the things that we are doing, so we are deep into day one. We've had a number of talks that are happening, so we wanted to get a chance to speak with some speakers that have yet to do talks. I'm correct on that, right?
Yes, they're both tomorrow.
They're both tomorrow, so if you are hearing this, you can get a little bit of a teaser as to what's going on. So, Cathy, let's start first. What is your talk going to be on? And actually, we like to do a little bit of a intro. So, what we call the origin stories, or secret powers. How do you use your evil powers for good, so to speak?
Absolutely. My origin story about how I got into testing. I was hanging out at a kindergarten bus stop. We had just moved to Virginia. And
like you do.
Like you do, right? Yeah. And I had a kindergarten daughter, and you had to meet the bus to drop the kids off, and you had to meet the bus to get them back. And as it turned out, the dad of another kindergarten girl was a founder of a company in California. So we're in Virginia, companies in California. When he found out that I had an electrical engineering background and been doing information management, he said, hey, we want to get somebody to start looking at our stuff before we send it to our customer. And I said, okay. He said 10, 15 hours a week, that'd be about it. And it's perfect for me. I was home with kids, and that turned out to be a total lie, but it was a great way to get into testing.
All right. So you have a session coming up tomorrow.
I do.
It's a scaled agile testing journey.
It is. It's titled From 6 to 60 in 10 years, not super fast, but we work on a project that is a government contract for the National Nuclear Security Administration. And 10 years ago, we had 6 people working on this project, and we were Agile. We started out Agile. There were 5 developers and me. And since then, we have we've made our customers very successful with the tool that we built. And as a result, they've gotten more customers, more program offices that want to use the tool. So we kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So my talk will be about how that worked. There are different eras in the project over the course of that time. And I really liked the focus questions from CAST this year. How do you collaborate with other professionals? How did you really get something done? And how did you know what were important? So those are going to be the 3 areas that I focus on.
All right, fantastic. And let's turn our attention to Alex. So same questions. We'd like to know a little bit about your backstory, what brought you into the world of testing, and tell us a bit about your talk.
Yeah, what happened is I started my career, in software, like software and electronics, and we were talking about like the late 80s. And by the time it was like really booming on that industry, and I didn't knew exactly what I was about to do with software and electronics. And my first job was into the aerospace, a project for the NASA. And I said, well, wow, that's exactly what I would like to do. And I started doing development, so developer in that area, and working on specification, coding, and everything. And after a while, I saw many times errors around misuse of either software or misinterpretation of about specification. And one thing is, after going left and right in my career, I decided, well, the best way to know what I'm dealing with when I talk to aerospace, well, would be to be a pilot. And at the end, I turned out to be an airline professional, so being an airline pilot. That being said, my talk is going to be about 777, and one of the topics is I'm going to explain how we build simulators in order to train the pilots and train them to react in normal situation and in abnormal situation in order to make you traveling safe from point A to point B.
Okay, because I was looking at the big game engine, and for some reason my initial thought is they use a big game engine to build the 7, but you mean actual flight simulation and for training pilots.
Exactly.
Got it.
and that's where it's very important, is why I say it's a gaming rig, because I've been telling to my friends and people around me that I've been paid the last 10 years to playing a huge Nintendo thing all day long. Why? Is because into the simulator, you can move, the cabin is moving, you got 12 speakers to recreate the sound, you got the vision, which is like 220 degrees, and you can recreate any kind of weather you want. And that's the experience the pilots need to have. They need to be thrown into a different situation so you can fly safe.
Fantastic. Well, it sounds like they're both very good sessions. I'm hoping that they're not overlapping with each other.
No, I think, right. They're Alex is in the morning, Cathy's in the afternoon. So you can fit these
Fantastic.
both into your schedule tomorrow.
Excellent.
So I'm wondering, if I'm looking at the schedule, I have options. So how would I know I'm a good candidate to come to your talk? What kind of people are you looking for in your audience?
I think people who would benefit from our story are those that have a focus on testing from kind of a user advocate position where you really become the advocate for your end users, and that is first and foremost. And secondly, if you are really trying to solve a business problem. So it's not as much about some of the technical automation spaces, it would be more about how you really set up your team and how you integrate with others. We're also, like many of the other teams here, distributed. We're distributed across time zones, we're distributed across functional organizations, and so how do you establish those relationships? That's something that I think our group did really, really well, and develop a culture that supports really close collaboration, even if you don't sit next to each other or if you're facing challenges.
And Alex, who do you feel would be good candidates for coming to yours, other than people who would love the idea of an absolutely massive big gaming rig? That sounds fun.
It sounds fun. You can buy one, by the way, if you got a couple of $1 million. We can.
Is that it?
That. Yeah.
Okay.
We can deliver.
Is that available on Amazon?
No, it's not. But definitely, you can find a couple of them on eBay.
Yeah, that would work well with John Bach's most expensive item on there.
Ooh, good point.
What would be interesting is I'm going to share my experience. That's the first thing, and anybody is welcome to listen to what I've learned into these last 2 years. This is the plot: is you got a piece of software which is like anywhere between 10 to 20 million lines of code. You got hardware which is made of anywhere between 1 and 2 million parts. We have to make it working together and certified by aviation authority, because for the training simulator, for a training device, when I sign the paper with the FAA, I'm responsible in court of law for what could happen in the next 20 years with that device. Meaning that if there is a problem and pilots are not trained appropriately because there is something which is false indication, I will be liable. So it's how you can test so much complex thing and make it like usable and safe to be used by pilots for training. So that would be for people looking for those cues.
Well, that sounds great. So for those who are listening, if you get a chance to hear this in time for these 2 sessions, it sounds like both of them are fascinating, definitely worth attending. I have a feeling I'm going to probably be at both of them. And if nothing else, that means if you don't get a chance to attend, or if you don't get a chance to hear it, you can always take a look at the live blog that should be posted by the time you hear this tomorrow. You can go to www.associationforsoftwaretesting.org, go to CAST 2017, and I believe the articles will be posted there. I am not 100% sure on this, but we're pretty sure that is where they're going to be posted.
And you can always look at the AST Twitter feed.
That is true. And with that, we want to say thank you very much for listening, and we hope to join you again very soon with another episode of the CASTcast. Thanks for listening.
Take care, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.